Hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft-related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today, we're going to have a little conversation about reflection of 2023 as it relates to your witchy path. My goal with this video is to have you sort of think about your own path and to think about, what have you learned? What do you want to release? What do you want to shed going into 2024? But before we could get to that, you need to be willing to kind of look at everything as a whole. So I'm going to use myself as the example. So 2023 has been a very interesting year for me. First of all, it's just felt like its own separate year, finally, since 2020. Because 2021 felt like an extension of 2020, and then 2022 was just felt like it was like what 2021 should have been, if that makes any sense. But I get a little confused sometimes when I think back on that time, because it just was there was clearly a shift. Yes, there was the coronavirus and the quarantine and that impact as well. But I don't, maybe I know it's not just me, it's the world. We've all most people have had permanent changes happen because of 2020 and what happened. So it had a long lasting effect. So here, we're wrapping up 2023. And as I mentioned, it feels like its own separate year finally. So because of that, I started the year from a physical point of view, not quite where I wanted to be, and emotionally much better, more well-rounded, spiritually speaking, stronger. Those three things go together, because if you don't feel good, you're not feeling good. If your body, the physical body, if you're not feeling well in it, it will show up in your spiritual, it'll show up in every aspect of your life. So the year has been trying different things to make me feel better from a, physical body type of thing. And this is dealing with like reproductive health issues. So I finally, toward the end of the year, found something. And I feel much more balanced. Most of the year, though, that was not necessarily the case. And, that definitely affected how I practiced my magic and how I felt emotionally. And honestly, I feel like I've sort of limited myself somewhat, took too long. And I know they say everything's in your own timing, but I felt like it took me longer to get to certain things that I got to later in the year that I could have gotten to in the early part if I wasn't distracted by the physical issues. So that's one thing I can definitely reflect on. But once I got there, I'm good. So right now I'm in a situation where I'm living a very different sort of lifestyle, really entrepreneur, very freestyle type lifestyle. How I get my money is a real freestyle type situation. And I'm grateful I have the opportunity to do so. But there's no hustle going on here, just to be clear. Honestly, I don't really want to hustle for anything at this point in my life. My mantra has been, and I created a spell around this term, with speed and ease. So get me there as quick as possible, but with ease. I don't need to be, hustling to get my money, to get my bag, to get things going, my resources and so forth. That's not what I'm doing. My spell work got me there though. So looking back at the year, yeah, I'm very grateful that I was finally able to have a clearer mind, so I could get to the work that was necessary for me. But it took me most of the year to sort of get in a situation where, like I said, I could think clearly, but maybe it is the right timing. So the first half of 2023, I was doing work. Yes, I was doing ritual, doing spells, things worked. I'm not, my magic wasn't faulty, but I was placing limitations around my magic. I wouldn't know it then, though. I didn't think I was. But when I say limitations, I'm trying to work this corporate gig and I'm trying to grow in that, but I don't like it. I don't like how I'm being treated. I don't like it. And I also think I'm grossly underpaid for what I'm being asked to do. So I felt some kind of way, but I adopted the same attitude that most people adopt. Well, you got to do something, try to make the best out of the situation. We all have to do this. And I'm like, okay. So dealing with physical issues on top of it, which could get you down. And when you're talking reproductive health, you're talking pain, hormonal stuff, that definitely alters your thinking, right? So when I'm trying to be expansive about my life and the magic that I want to create, there's a limitation on it because I'm trying to open up myself in a box. And that box is only so big, so I can only expand so much. Where something finally clicked for me, honestly, I could tell you exactly what it was. It was mid-year, the summer solstice. My coven and I, we had an opportunity to go to Sedona, Arizona for our retreat. We stayed in a $1 million house. And we were all able to physically be there together. Things just aligned. It was a beautiful experience, and magic was afoot. And being around these people that I virtually am around and do ritual with, definitely was sort of that big impact moment for me in 2023. And realizing everything came, the voices, everything just came much stronger. The urges, I woke up new desires, and I began I broke out that box, and I realized you were not meant to be in that box. I can't do that. If I continue on this path, I'm going to be a miserable person. This YouTube channel would have stopped. I would not have been able to maintain because it was sucking the life out of me. So decisions were made, and I appealed to the goddess that I work with the most, which is Hecate, and she had already started coming to me in the dream world. So I was open to her messages, and everything would check out in my waking hours with what was revealed to me in the dream world. Okay. So, and I felt protected. So I basically, I don't want to say I made a deal, but low key, I made a deal. Or promises were made, reasonable promises that I could keep. But in exchange, I need to also have some form of worldly compensation. So for those things. So a deal, I guess, was struck at the time, and here we are. And it has been a positive experience. What I can tell you is this. I feel very much intuitively guided. I feel free. It's not that I don't have concerns about things like everybody else, about, things around like finances and stuff like that. It comes up, things happen, or I may want to do something on a bigger level. And I'm like, I'm going to need to plan on that a little bit more than I probably would have, if I was working somewhere you got a normal regular paycheck, right? But that's okay, because I feel like what has been revealed to me since this big life change for me is that I've been provided for this entire time. So the biggest part of this is to keep the anxiety, the unnecessary concerns and questions, and this incessant desire. This used to get me jammed up for years around prosperity magic, on this desire to go with what I thought was stability. 2023 was not just a teachable year, but it was like a very a hands-on experience on defining what is stable when it comes to living, when it comes to stability of home and food, your resources, the practical things that is to live, and to redefine what that is for me. I had to question myself this year on uh, my participation in overconsumption. And it's not about denying myself. It's about, well, wait, are you just getting things just to have them? Or are you really enjoying these things? Is it the satisfaction? And I'll be honest with you, the satisfaction of purchasing something, especially online, and then you get those packages and it's exciting because it's like a gift. It's dopamine for sure happening here. Good dose of it being released. And then honestly, it's over. Kind of like when you get a gift. You open it up, it's exciting, but that thrill of opening the package, even though I know it's in the box, that's a short-lived thing. You have the item and then it's over. So for me, it's a new, witchy tool or book or something like that. Yeah, I use the tool, I read the book, but at the same time, once it's done, it's done. And now I'm on to I need the next thing. I have to be careful. And this year I thought about, even in terms of this channel, the things that I review and talk about, did I really need to have those things? There's a fine line on, do I want this or am I just buying it just to have something? You know what I'm saying? So, just questioning that about myself and, having an answer and really thinking about my situation and reconciling that. And as far as spell work and things like that, again, I have had very successful spells. For the month of December, I have made a point to kind of end the year on just like intuitive glamour spells. And when I say intuitive, because this is not planned out, I don't have it written down anywhere. It's my own personal spell experiment. And it has worked a little too good on some days, but I essentially partake in some sort of glamour spell work every day. Every day. It's not a big deal. It could be something simple as when I'm first thing in the morning and I'm getting my face together and I'll just look and I just speak some loving words to myself. And then I speak to the universe, what my intention is. It could be something that's simple. Sometimes it gets a little bit more, it might be more about a mindset, not just the physical, as far as the glamour. So I might, project that as well. But this is what I've been doing for the month of December. I wanted to let the month go out on a bang of nothing but a whole lot of spell work. It's a lot of magic going on right now. All in all, I'm grateful for the lessons learned from a spiritual point of view. I've deepened my relationship with Hecate. I was someone who did not work with any deities, so this was huge for me. I deepened that relationship. I've also, I wouldn't say reignite, but I'm listening to the call from my ancestors on how to work with them where I'm at now, at this stage. It's been a very interesting thing because I kind of feel like my ancestors, my altar for them is on an astral plane. Now, I have a physical altar set up as well, but it's very minimal. It's just a chalice with water, and then I have something for like burning oils. But that's it. A little mini cast iron pot. And you use a tea light, and it heats up the oil. So I use that. That is the altar. That's it. They seem to prefer that I meet them on an astral plane. That is where our work is done. That's where the communication occurs. So I'm going to keep rocking with it. That's what they want. That's what that works for us until I'm told differently. But that's the main place that I speak and work with my ancestors on the astral plane. I'm grateful I get to do that because not everyone understands that or even how to do that. And I got there in an intuitive way. No one taught me. I didn't read about it in a book. And quite frankly, I was describing this to people for some time. And then someone finally tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You realize you're astral projecting in the ancestral realm, or at least wherever they've deemed, that realm to be for you." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't realize that." I thought everybody did this or could do this. I didn't think there was anything special behind it, because I didn't even know how I started doing it really. But I was led by them too. That's how I got there. But I'll continue to do that. This year, I've recognized, as I talked about this not much, but in previous videos on how I would set up an altar space, and I just couldn't understand for my ancestors why it wasn't working. Like, why didn't I feel, no matter what I would do, I just never felt called to work in that space. I've tried all around this house and I just never really felt called. So what I have now is kind of a place, if I need to sit something down, I can, but it's all happening on an ancestral realm that they allow me to enter through my third eye. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for finally having that understanding, so I don't have to feel guilt around that. Speaking of guilt, one of the other things that I have took me all of pretty much 2023, I was actually, the guilt that I have or have had around just reading, which is odd because I read a lot and I've always read a lot, but just sitting on a couch, curled up with a book, having a snack and something to drink, it's cozy, right? I look forward to that. I talk about doing that, but honestly, when that is happening, I'm aware of how long I've been doing it. Oh, I can't do this all day. That's wasting the day away. Oh, I should be doing this. And then I'm concerned about, what if I'm not producing like I should be producing? You hear that? What if I'm not producing? Like, these weird projections I'm putting on myself that there's no one in the room. It's just me. This is all happening in my head. And that's tiring as well. So instead of absorbing the information, this could be books on something on witchcraft. It could be nonfiction. It kind of takes away the joy and comprehending the things that you're reading, because I'm thinking there has to be, I can't read too long. I can't get, come on now. This is I got to move on to the next thing. I have reconciled that as of today. I am no longer claiming that I'm not a workhorse, and I never want to be a workhorse. I don't want to measure my life in productivity. I don't want to measure my spiritual path or my days just as how productive I've been. I prefer to think about my experiences and what I may have created, what I've shared, what I've learned. I'd like to use that as if I must measure, that's what I prefer to use versus productivity, because burnout is real. So that has been a major shift for me. It took me, like I said, almost all of 2023 to arrive at this, but here I am, and I'm here now, and I'm very grateful for that. Lesson learned, and I'm definitely not taking that energy into 2024. I think it's important to kind of take a beat. I love working my magic by the wheel of the year because it kind of easily allows me to do that, to kind of just, at different quarters of the year, kind of take a beat. And I actually do my goal planning based on either 3 or 4 month integrals as well. And it's helpful to me to do it that way because, you get further along into a certain point and you can know if something's working or if it's not. Do we need to tweak something? And that works for, my very self-analytical mindset. So that's perfect for me. End of year reflection has been something, honestly, I've always done, because the next step after this is working on the vision for 2024. But in order to work on the vision for 2024, I have to fully be willing to look at what has already occurred. We're still very much in the year, so the present, and then the past, and reconciling that. Never to beat myself up, not to put myself down, not to inflate something artificial either. I did my best this year, especially as it comes to my spiritual path. I've done my best. For me to say that, by the way, is growth, because I have just did the shadow work to even be able to say that, to say I've done my best. Because prior to, because I'm it's in my head now, I'm like, you would have said, I mean, I did my best, but you would have been like I was still in the back of my head. If I just say it out loud, my other thought would be, well, you could have did better. You could have did better. You could have did more. You didn't go as hard. You should have spent more time doing this, and you should be over here doing that. That kind of stuff. So of this not enough thing, yeah, I'm so over that. I'm so done with that. 2024 is also a milestone birthday for me. The last thing I want to do is take that energy into this particular phase of my life. So let's talk about that, because this end of this year signifies to me another phase. I think, hopefully you don't catch these sirens, because I think that's a fire truck in the background. Another aspect is I am definitely heading more into the Crone phase. So I think for some people, if you go by like reproductive health wise, which I wouldn't necessarily go by that, because I could probably have a menstrual cycle well into my 50s. It depends on your family and stuff like that, but for everybody, it could be in your early 50s. I mean, you ever hear these women who still get pregnant at like 55, 60? Yeah. So, but also, what do you say about women who might have had a hysterectomy, and, so they're no longer menstruating, and they're only 38. Are they in their Crone phase? No. So I don't necessarily use a menstrual cycle to define Crone. For me, I kind of look at it in a way of a little part my actual age, and also kind of reproductively speaking, I'm no longer in that mother phase in the way that I was in my 20s and 30s. My maiden phase stopped about 22. Now I was somebody's mama. I was still a maiden. I was just maiden to an actual mother, probably earlier than I needed to be at the time. But, it all worked out in the end. I love my babies, grown babies. But yeah, I see this Crone phase. I see it right there. Like, it's undeniable. I'm not like, I'm kind of embracing it. I'm embracing the freedom that comes with it. I'm already experiencing it. And when I say freedom, if you're here, you know what I'm talking about. But when you get to this age, when you get in your 40s, and as you progress in your 40s, it becomes and I want to say 40s, not 40, because for some women, there's this reckoning happening at 40 where, okay, some of us are trying to accept it is, what am I going to do? I'm 40. This is where I'm at. But, there's this weird push-pull, because you're very aware that you are heading to the Crone phase. And the society might even already be calling you a Crone to be derogatory, but you know what I'm saying. There's this push-pull for a lot of women at about age 40. But once you're well into your 40s, this other thing happens. For some people, there's sexual awakening. For some people, women, or now I'll say people because I want to keep it, there's a freedom that comes from letting go society expectations. For some of us, we're having perimenopausal going on. So we don't listen, you get to a point, we're not even full menopause yet, but we're dealing with other symptoms, and you just don't want to use the emotional capacity to deal with some society nonsense, with these people over here talking about, with this religious stuff been talking about, with this person. You don't care anymore. You're just going to do you. And whatever that version of you looks like at that time, you might be pissing everybody off around you, but that's going to be you, and you're just going to live it. I know that's me. Someone actually said to me that I know, they hadn't seen me in a long time. And they said to me, "Oh, well, who are you? Who's this version of you?" I was actually asked that question because to them, there's something very different about me. There is something very different about me. I'm not willing to hold in my emotions, my opinions, and my thoughts, especially when being confronted directly. I mean, I'm not going around just, spewing my opinions to anyone who will listen. But when you know what I mean, when you're in situations and something is occurring, I speak my mind. I say how I feel. And I don't measure my words as I once used to. I am not concerned about how I'm viewed as much. Here, I know I'm on YouTube, and I know people may judge me. I don't really care how I'm being perceived, other than what I intended. It gets even more freeing as you age. It's just a freedom that comes with it. I like coming on here with different color hair. I like expressing myself in a blunt way, because that's really how I am. I don't always want to pick and choose my words. It's not to hurt anyone, but at the same time, I don't want to hurt myself by censoring myself all the time either. And I live my life that way. I'm much more creative now. When you're in that space of freedom, and when you're going into this age, this crone phase, there is this luxury all of a sudden of time. Some of us are retiring. Some of us are changing careers. You're going down to part-time. If you used to work a lot of overtime, things like that, your life has changed. You don't have to work, hopefully, as hard anymore, because the kids are older. It's not the same anymore. Your overhead is less, right? So you kind of get some time back around this time frame in your life. And you can be more creative, and you can philosophize and think about things kind of like when you were younger. And that's where I'm at. I also like being surrounded by youthful people, because I like hearing their version of ideas and thoughts and activism and things like that. And I'm inspired by it, tempered with my lived experience. I'm doing great over here. There's a level of freedom that I didn't even know could really exist. And being a witch, ooh, I'm doing good. So those are my reflections of 2023. So hopefully you're willing to kind of the way I kind of did this is I kind of started the beginning, middle, and end, because that's kind of really how my year went. I felt like I came into the year one way. Mid-year, I had this big magical change and event, which fostered change for the rest of the year. And here I am now. So go ahead and like the video if you like this. This is just a candid conversation. Subscribe if you would like to. Let me know in the comments how you feel as well. If you want to share about your 2023, I'd be happy to read. And go to leaptaken.com, check out the services that I offer, and hit the join button to join the Leap Taken membership. All right, I'm done. Thanks. Bye.